Welcome back to the channel. I don't know why it still tickles me every time I do that. So today I want to talk about how not to feel overwhelmed when you have a lot of things to do, and especially as a neurodivergent, especially with a nervous system that gets overwhelmed so easily. And this is how I did it, and I'm not saying I'm fully there, nor am I saying I'm in that category where I'm the type A personality. So first of all, you need to regulate your nervous system. I do it these days by using EMDR technique. You can Google it or search it on YouTube or TikTok. So it's EMDR. So that's just one of the therapy technique that to heal your nervous system without drugs, without medication, and you can do it at any time you want. And so that's one. Second, the therapy that I would probably use is somatic therapy. So these are the therapies that don't particularly need any tools that you can do anytime, anywhere. So first is just dysregulate your nervous system. That's very important. You do this if you have a go-to music, maybe play that calms you down, that makes you feel like, oh, I'm okay, breathing techniques, all of that thing. So first is use a therapy tool to regulate your nervous system. Um, and second of all, you have to make sure that you eat right, or at least eat regularly. It doesn't matter if you eat a lot or little, just eat regularly. Like at least when you wake up, you eat something, and then of course, like after a while, if you can do this, you can start eating like healthily. So I think the primary focus is first is to get like food inside, like some calories, um, because nothing will overwhelm your nervous system faster than nutrient deficiency in my world anyway, in my body. And yeah, and as I get older, I have to cut down caffeine. And I was always intolerant with alcohol, so I never had problems not eating that. And I'm not a big fan of sugar as well, so I don't have issues with that either. But caffeine was a really problematic thing for me, so I have to cut that down. Even this, even to this day, it's still a issue. I'm swapping coffee with matcha these days, and not because I like the taste, but mostly because I feel like matcha actually makes me less jittery. So it still gives me a lot of headache when I don't drink it regularly. So the caffeine is definitely there, but it doesn't have that sense of the strong heart palpitations and extreme nervousness that I get with caffeine. So yeah, get that addiction in checked, and then start using your multivitamins and your vitamins, your supplements, especially if you get older. If you're 40 years old, over 40, middle-aged woman, start thinking about your hormones for sure. If you start gaining weight and you're not even eating, because that was me a long time ago. Well, no, only a short time ago, maybe 4 years ago, so it wasn't a long time ago. And I wasn't eating at all, and I was kept putting on weight. I'm like, what is the air make me put on weight? Like, am I breathing and just put on weight? That's definitely not a isolated issue. So it's a hormonal thing. So go to your doctor, get your hormones checked, your thyroid checks, your liver enzyme checked, all the things, your progesterone checked, your testosterone checked, and find a doctor that can work with you rather than telling you what to do and stuff. And the practical bits, I think every day, practical bits is just do one thing that is not overwhelming, and just do it for that day. Even if it only takes you like 1 minute to tidy up a section of your living room, for example, there's like a box of something. Like, of course, this is given if you are not like having 5 kids running around, and then have your in-laws, and one of those things. But I guess like that's probably where it's most important to apply to, huh? But you just have to control what you can control. Maybe you need to tidy up things that don't get taken out again. So like if you are in that busy environment where you can't control a lot of things, where if you tidy up toys and then it'll be taken out again, it'll be a mess again. So maybe that will be the last thing that you need to deal with. You need to deal with something that is messy, but don't get um, taken out and be messy with. Like it doesn't get messed. Like it doesn't get disorganized too soon. You need to organize those first, I think. And because you need something that stays in place for a longer period of time so that you can have that record building in your head, and your brain like can see it, like you did something, you tidy up that bit and that stays tidy. And so you start with those, and you just do like one at a time, and you just have to give yourself grace every time you just did one. And I know like a lot of people can do like 100 things in one day. They can start their day at 5 a.m. We are not talking about those people, okay? I'm not talking to those people. Those people are a different breed. I'm talking to people who are burned out, who are in functional freeze, who are can't even get out of bed even if they want to. Neurodivergent people who are like taking a shower feels like lifting up 5 ton worth of weight, my people. So yeah, you just have to start like that. You just have to start very tiny, very slowly, and start with things that have a little bit permanency, like a longer permanency. For example, if you use your work desk quite often, that will be the last thing that you probably should tidy up. Maybe if you don't tidy up your cupboard, for example, for the past year, and you only use it once or twice a month, maybe start there, because that doesn't get messy too often, and it will give you like a feedback in your brain. Oh, I did that, that stays neat. I did that, that stays neat. I did that, that's neat, that's neat. And it gives you like a longer validation for your brain to keep going. Because if you tidy up something and then you get messed up the next day, it doesn't give you any satisfaction, because it gives you more of that helplessness problems, real helplessness feeling of like, oh, why do I bother to do that anyway? Like every time I clean something, every time I tidy up, it's just gonna get messy again. Is I have that same issues with eating. Like every time I eat, I'm gonna get hungry anyway, so I'm just gonna put it off until really late, where I'm really really hungry, so then I eat. Like that's really bad, but that's why all the first few dysregulation, all the first protocols of like, make sure to regulate your nervous system first, eat frequently, and then after you've done that, eat healthily, and then after you've done that, you make sure you get your nutrient up by using your supplements, vitamins and stuff, and after that you start to tackle this. um, is because I feel like you have to start inward first before you can do anything that is actually have a certain amount of longevity. Um, yeah, and you just start, and you don't tell people about it. I think that's very important for me anyway, because if you do, that means like suddenly the validation is outward rather than it's just you validating yourself, your brain validating yourself. So yeah, unless it's extremely important for you and the people that you tell to are very safe people, then yeah, go ahead. Um, and then you just start, and you want to build that momentum. And maybe if it's helpful, you can write it down. Every time you do something, you write it down, like so that you have an actual record of what you did. like this day I did this day I did it. And when you visually see it, it's a lot more powerful. And all of these things are just baby steps to get you functioning again somewhat. And and I'm not saying that if you don't function, then you're bad people. No, you just want to do one step at a time. You just want to do like little steps. I think I mentioned it in previous videos. It's like if you're extremely depressed and you are unable to do anything, then you're feeling so helpless. Like the first goal is probably, you know what, tomorrow, my goal, my to do list is opening my eyes. It's like that. Like, in the first thing that you do, you open your eyes, then you win for the day. And it's a bit like that, and it's just more applied to tidying up and organizing your space. And then you just first start with whatever it is in front of you. If you have dirty dishes and you can't just tidy up the whole thing, maybe just regularly wash your cup. Like every time the day ends, just wash your one cup. Maybe you start there, and once that becomes a habit, then you start, well, your plate maybe, or another one. And maybe on a different day, you just dedicate like a minute just putting all the trash into the trash bags, in the rubbish bag. And that takes 1 minute. So that's 1 minute, one day, and you just do that. And the next day, maybe you wash two plates. And that's all you did for that day. That probably like very functioning to some extent. And then you just keep doing it that way. You don't even have to put like a timer, like, oh, I have to do this for 10 minutes, I have to do that. Because I think once you break it down to extremely small task, it becomes doable, because it's no longer like I have to clean up the kitchen, for example. It's more like I just have to do two plates that will take 30 seconds. So that's a cool. Like if you wash it by hands, of course, but if you wash it with a machine, with the dishwasher machine, you can just say like, hey, I'm gonna put two dishes away, or I'm gonna put whatever it is. You can quantify it like that. And I think it's also the same with food. If like the task of eating is so hard, you just have to do it really small. If you can't make it yourself, then you need to start saving money and pay people to meal prep. It's probably expensive, but maybe you can get some gadgets, some it's just like things that makes your life easier, so that you can meet your needs. And at the same time, of course, like a lot of this are highly dependent on if you have control over your life or not. Because I think, but that's it, right? Even if you don't have control over your life, you have control of your breathing, for example. So maybe start there. Maybe today I will start meditation for like 5 minutes in the loo, like 5 minutes in the toilet. Like I'm just gonna start doing that. I'm gonna take like the breathing technique, whatever it is on Google that you can find. Maybe you can do, like, there's a lot you can do, or you can download an app, and like they will teach you and coach you how to breathe. And you can do that for 5 minutes every day on the toilet if you are so overwhelmed with a lot of people and you can get away. You can start just by doing extremely tiny things. And I know, like, when you're overwhelmed, even these things becomes a demand on your system, and it becomes overwhelming as well. And maybe you can start there too. Like, you can start saying, tomorrow I will do nothing, and that will be my first step to take care of myself, releasing myself from the demand of the world. And that's one way to stop your nervous system being so overwhelmed by the whole thing. Yeah. So that's not like my suggestions, tips, and what I would do every day. Of course, like if you can't do any of that, just give yourself a pat in the back and say you'll try again tomorrow. And just take a nap. Take a nap. Take a nap. And if you feel painful every time you take a nap, distract yourself. I feel like I just want people to have at least a very brief amount of relief and at least non suffering, at least that neutral ground once a day, and do it consciously and build. And that's very hard. And I know, like, in the chronically ill community, there is this concept of building a ladder. So you just build one ladder at a time and you just, do that. And I definitely am behind that. And if you want to feel angry, you feel angry. If you want to cry, cry. If you're very frustrated, my advice would be, my unsolicited advice would be to cry. To cry, you have to do a guttural cry, like the animal cry. Try to feel it and then let it go. Like, let it all go and put it out there until your eyes are so puffy, and then you have to take a nap because you're so tired. That way, your nervous system releases a lot of chemicals and it gives a lot of space inside of your body to come up with new ideas and with new insights. One of the ways that you know that your body is a bit regulated is when you start having a little bit of positive thoughts or even neutral thoughts. It's even like not the most grander thought. It's like, oh, the weather is nice today. Oh, the air is very crispy today. I love it. It tastes delicious. And just these tiny things, and you're like, oh, this apple tastes great. This acknowledgement of the good things in life. Or even like, oh, today wasn't that bad. Oh, I feel a little bit of relief there. And you feel like, oh, I just had a good nap. Just like tiny, tiny thoughts. They're not a waste, they built. And I think that's the job, right? This job is to make room for this type of positive thoughts in the middle of overwhelmment, in the middle of extreme tension. So, yeah, hopefully that's helpful. And yeah, I will see you later. My name is Valerine. I am a digital creator. I create a lot of things on internet. You can check out my links in the description box below for offers, for my art shops, for links. Anyway, I'll see you later. Bye, everyone.